Hello everybody, I'm Bill Knudsen, and this is the Sportsocology Show, and I'm the host. Hope you're having a great day so far. It's Saturday, April 26th, 2014, and today I think I'll talk mostly about how the NBA playoffs are going. Of course, I'm going to throw a little bit of my New York Mets, my mighty New York Mets, who lately have been playing like they're pretty mighty. Hopefully it'll last, I don't know, but I'm going to enjoy it while they're playing so well. I might even throw in a little bit on the NFL draft, which is starting Thursday night, May 8th. I think I'll go a little more in depth next week, which will be the last show before the draft, but I think I'm going to throw in a little bit about that as well, but mainly, excuse me, how the NBA playoffs are going to this point. So I'm going to get right to it. Over in the East, the Eastern Conference, last night, Bulls and the Wizards in Washington. Now, Washington pulled off a miracle and won the first two games in Chicago, which I certainly did not see coming, because as you might remember, I said the Bulls would win in 6 games, so obviously losing the first 2 at home doesn't make it a great chance to win in 6. But the Bulls did a good job last night. They did what they had to do. They won Game 3 at Washington to put themselves back into the series, because if you go down 3-0, it's over. In the history of the NBA, a 3-0 deficit has never been overcome. So the Bulls did a good job last night, winning Game 3 on the road. But the Wizards still have the edge, 2-1. And we'll just have to see how that goes. It was really Mike Dunleavy for the Bulls, who I was watching the game, was hitting threes left and right, ended up with 35 points. And the Bulls were able to hold off the Wizards and win a must game, because, like I said, Bulls would have been out had they lost. So it was a good job by the Bulls on the road. The Raptors and the Nets. And as you may know, I picked the Nets in 7, maybe 6 games, but I even said that if it went a seventh game, that the Nets would win Game 7 in Toronto if it went that far. But I said the series would go at least 6, and I picked the Nets to win. And the Nets got the split of the first 2 in Toronto. Then last night they were back in Brooklyn, and the Nets took care of business. Raptors put up a good fight, but the Nets were able to hold off the Raptors in Game 3 and take a 2-1 lead. You know, they split on the road and they're winning at home, so as long as they continue to do that, the Nets will win the series as I predicted, and I still think they'll win in 6, but even if it goes 7, I'm going to say the Nets win that Game 7 on the road. So the Nets are up 2-1 over the Raptors. Moving on to games that are being played today in the East. The Heat are in Charlotte against the Bobcats. The Heat held, home advantage in the first 2 games. They didn't dominate the Bobcats. The Heat weren't awesome. And the Bobcats, they came to play, but the Heat did what they were expected to do, and they took the first 2 games at home. I did say, just to be a little bit respectful towards the Bobcats, that the Bobcats would get a game at home. So I'm saying that if the Bobcats get the game at home, it would be today. Because if the Heat win today, they'll be up 3-0, and I think the Heat will close it out in 4. But I'm saying that won't happen, because I picked the Bobcats to lose in 5 games. So I'm saying that the Bobcats will actually put, together a good game today and pull off a little bit of an upset and actually win Game 3 before the Heat take control of the series and win it in 5. So I'll say the Bobcats edge the Heat today, and that'll be the only game the Bobcats get in this series before the Heat win Games 4 and 5. So I'm going to stick with my prediction of the Heat in 5, with the Bobcats getting their 1 win today. Moving on to probably the most disappointing series so far, the Pacers and the Hawks that play later on this afternoon. The Hawks are up 2-1, and the Pacers have really only played one good quarter in 3 games, and that was the one that allowed them to win Game 2. Not that the Hawks have been great, but they've played better than I anticipated them to. As you know, I picked the Pacers to win in no more than 6 games, maybe even 5. I wasn't giving the Hawks a great chance at doing much, but obviously the Hawks have already won 2 games. They're up 2-1, and I don't think the Pacers are going to win 3 straight to win it in 6. I'm not even sure the Pacers are going to win it at all, but I'm saying that the Pacers will step up today. They're down here in Atlanta. If Atlanta wins today, the series is over. The Hawks will be up 3-1. The Pacers will just be totally demoralized with the way they've been playing the last couple of months, and it's continued pretty much into the playoffs. But I'm saying that the Pacers will show a little gumption, a little guts, a little whatever you want to call it. And I'm saying that the Pacers will win here in Atlanta this afternoon and tie the series up at 2, because if they don't, they fall behind the Hawks 3-1, and they'll be so in the dumps that the Hawks will take the series. And as I've been saying all along, I don't think the Hawks are that great. Losing record during the season, not even worthy of a playoff spot. But as much as I'm not a Hawks fan, I have to give credit where credit is due. They've played pretty well these first 3 games. They got the split in Indianapolis, which at a minimum you're always looking to do when you start off on the road. And they took care of business the other night here at home. And if they do it again this afternoon and take a 3-1 lead, it's over. But I'm saying that the Pacers will show a little something with all that talent that they have, that they will step up. And I'm saying that the Pacers will tie the series. But if they don't, Hawks up 3-1, see you later, Pacers. So we'll see how that goes later on. Over in the West, big game between the Rockets and the Blazers last night, with the Blazers up 2-0 after winning the first 2 at Houston. The Rockets were in a must-win. Can't fall down 3-0 and expect to win. And the Rockets did come up big. Harden for the Rockets hadn't done much the first 2 games. Scored 37 points last night. Now, granted, it was on 35 shots. He had to take a lot of shots to get those points. But he did what he needed to do. And they slowed down LaMarcus Aldridge of the Blazers, who was just tearing them up for 43 and 46 or 47 points in the first 2 games. I think it was 46. He scored 89 points the first 2 games. But they slowed Aldridge down. And the Rockets scored really well. You know, like I said, Harden got 37 points. Dwight Howard did his thing. And they had a little used rookie, Troy Daniels, hit a big 3 in overtime that allowed the Rockets to win that game on the road at Portland and stay alive in the series. So now the Blazers are down. The Blazers are up 2-1. Rockets got the big win in overtime there and managed to have some life in the series. So we'll see how that goes. That was a must-win for the Rockets, like it was for the Bulls last night, to have any hope of winning. On to the Thunder and the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies are up 2-1. Game 4 is in Memphis tonight. Kind of disappointed in the Thunder. As you may remember, I not only picked the Thunder to win this series, I picked the Thunder to win the Western Conference and to dethrone the Heat and win the title. But it's pretty hard to win the title if you get knocked out in the first round. So if they underestimated the Grizzlies, which I don't see how they could do that, because the Grizzlies just recently knocked them out of the playoffs. And the Grizzlies have a good squad. You know, they don't get a lot of national games, and, you know, a lot of people probably outside of the Memphis area, unless you're a die-hard NBA fan, you probably don't know a lot about the Grizzlies. But they've got some talent on both ends of the floor. And obviously, they've got the Thunder's attention, which, like I said, I don't know how they wouldn't, because they just recently knocked the Grizzlies out. The Grizzlies knocked the Thunder out of last year's playoffs. And the Grizzlies are up 2-1, Game 4 in Memphis. Excuse me, tonight. The Grizzlies could really put a stranglehold on the series if they win at home tonight. But I'm saying, because I picked the Thunder to win it all, I'm going to say the Thunder step up and take care of business on the road tonight and tie the series up, and eventually will knock the Grizzlies out. Since that's what I predicted, I'm obviously going to stay with that, because if Memphis wins tonight, goes up 3-1, it's probably over for the Thunder. So it's pretty much a must-win for the Thunder tonight, and I'm saying they will get that win and tie the series up at 2 apiece. Spurs and the Mavericks, they've only played the first 2 games in San Antonio, and they're tied at 1 game each. So the Mavericks did, at minimum, what you want to do, split on the road, and Game 3 is back in Dallas this afternoon. So Dallas has played well. San Antonio, not quite as well as I expected, but San Antonio is battle-tested. They can win anywhere in the playoffs, so I don't think it'll be a big deal for the Spurs to have to win a game or 2 at Dallas, because now Dallas has kind of taken home field, or home court, if you will, from the Spurs. But I believe the Spurs will get it back. Mavericks may win today and go up 2-1. And that's okay, because I think the Spurs would come back and win Game 4. But I won't be surprised at all if the Spurs win today. In fact, I'm going to pick the Spurs to win today's game and go up 2-1. But either way, Spurs aren't going to be fazed if they fall down 2-1 and have to win a Game 4 on the road. They're not going to be fazed by that. So I'm still sticking with my original pick of the Spurs in 5, but the Mavericks are playing a little better than I thought, so it may go 6, but I'm still gonna stay pretty confident in my pick that the Spurs will begin to take control and take care of business in this series. So I'm gonna just say that I don't know who's gonna win Game 3. I'm leaning towards the Spurs beginning to take control, even though it's on the road. But I'm still pretty confident in my pick of the Spurs winning the series. No more than 6. I think I picked 5 originally, but it may go 6. But I'm confident with that. So on to the Clippers and the Warriors. And this is a war, as I anticipated. Clippers are up 2-1. They took a big Game 3 at Golden State the other night. And I think the Clippers will take care of business if they win. I think they're playing tomorrow. If they win tomorrow and take a 3-1 lead, it's over. So I had anticipated that the Clippers would win in 7. So I'm thinking maybe the Warriors will fight back and tie the series at home. That's what I'm guessing. But I believe in a hard-fought series that the Clippers will win a Game 7 at home. Excuse me, at home. If it comes to it, the Clippers will win. But I'm thinking the Warriors will probably tie it up, because like I said, I anticipated a high-scoring, tough 7-game series that the Clippers will win. So I think the Warriors are going to fight back in Game 4, but eventually the Clippers will win. But we'll have more on that, probably next show. There might be a series or 2 that's already finished with by then, maybe more than that, I don't know. But we'll see how it goes. I'm still pretty confident in my picks that I made before everything started, except maybe the Pacers pick, because I said the Pacers would win in 5, no more than 6, and they're already down 2-1, and still look like the way they played the last month or 2 of the season. Just, I don't know what happened to them. Hibbert, just forgot how to play. I don't know what the story is with him. If you're 7'2", you should be getting a lot more rebounds and blocks and be a lot more intimidating than you have been the last few months. So I don't know what the story is with him. Maybe they need to bench him. I don't know. But they need to do something. Because otherwise, like I said, if they lose this afternoon in Atlanta and go down 3-1, they're finished. And that might be the biggest letdown or upset, whatever you want to call it, in the history of the NBA, if the Hawks knock out the Pacers in the first round. So we'll have to see. I'm going to move on to my mighty, and I say mighty right now and mean it, New York Mets. They've won 5 of their last 6 games. You know, they had been struggling at home with their first homestand, but at this moment they're 5-3 on their 10-game road homestand. They still have a game tonight and a game tomorrow afternoon with the Marlins. They did a good job last night. The bullpen blew a lead for the Mets, and the Mets were down 3-2 in the 9th. And with 2 outs in the 9th, the Mets scored 2 runs to pull it out. That's what the good teams do. They pull games like that out, and the Mets haven't been good the last few years. So right now the Mets are 13-10, and they got back to 500 at home, 7-7, still 6-3 on the road. So they're playing pretty well. After 23 games, if you told me they'd be 13-10, I would have signed up for it every time. I would have guessed, at best they would have been 10-13 maybe. But I'm happy with the way they're playing for the most part. The bullpen still has issues, but they've actually played a little better than I thought. And the starters, they've had a few issues here and there, but overall I think that they've pitched better than I thought that they would. So I'm happy right now. They're playing competitive ball, hanging in there. Now granted, 23 games, there's still a lot of season left, 139 games to go. A lot of things can happen. I'm thinking that, the hitting they've been getting, the good starting pitching, decent bullpen, I'm thinking that eventually will catch up with them. But I hope not. I'm kind of happy where the Mets are sitting right now. They're playing decent ball, giving the fans, maybe a little glimmer of hope that they might be respectable the rest of the year. They're not going to win 90 games like their crazy GM said they would. But maybe instead of winning 70, maybe they're pushing 500. Maybe they win 78 to 82 games, right around the 500 area. And give the Mets, hope for the future. We're getting Harvey back next year. And, they have a stud pitcher at AAA, supposedly. A stud that they got in the R.A. Dickey trade from Toronto. So we'll see if those things work out or not. But I'm happy where the Mets are sitting right now, and I'm hoping they're able to continue playing the decent ball that they're playing. I'm just going to touch on the draft a little bit. I'm not going to go through the 32 teams because we'd be here forever. And I'm not Mel Kiper with a 4-hour show or whatever. So I'm not going to go, that crazy. Just going to brush up on it a week and a half before the draft starts. Now, as you know, the Houston Texans have the number 1 pick. And I don't know if there's a doubt on the Texans, side. Obviously, I have no idea what they're thinking. I think the consensus is that they're going to take Jadeveon Clowney from South Carolina. And I can't argue with that. The guy's got freakish athletic ability and speed. Obviously, he's proven that he is an elite pass rusher. The only question is he going to give it his best effort, every time he steps on the field, or is he going to take plays off? I don't know. I don't know if that was the case last year. Was he worried about getting hurt and ruining his draft stock? But you can't play like that. When you're playing, you have to give it your best all the time. You can't be like, well, I can't do this, I might get hurt. That's probably the easiest way to get hurt, is to think about getting hurt. You just have to go out there and let it fly and play and see what happens. I believe the Texans will end up drafting Clowney, but I have heard maybe they would go for Johnny Manziel, but I don't think so. I don't think that Manziel is new head coach Bill O'Brien's cup of tea. So I don't think they're going to go that way. I know the Texans don't have a lot at quarterback, so they could certainly use a quarterback, but I don't know if they want, to deal with a guy like Manziel, even though Manziel grew up, pretty close to the Houston area, went to school at Texas A&M. Obviously, that would be the super popular choice, but you can't draft according to what you think the fans might want. You have to draft according to what you think is best for your team. Excuse me. So I think overall, when it comes down to May 8th and that first pick at 8 o'clock that night, I think it will be Clowney. But if I'm the Texans, even if you're planning on taking Clowney, I'm listening to phone calls. Because you never know. Somebody wants to jump up to the number one pick to get Clowney, or to be in a position to get maybe Johnny Manziel or whoever they think is the best for them, that they doubt whatever player they're looking at will be there at their spot. So you never know. I would never say I'm not listening to phone calls, I'm not trading the number one pick. I would never say that. Listen to the phone, answer the phone. You don't listen to a phone, obviously, you answer it. But I'd be listening to all offers. You never know what somebody might offer you. Somebody might offer you something incredibly crazy in your favor that you just can't turn down. So, I'd be available for any and all offers that come in. The Rams, they pretty much need a quarterback too, because I never thought Sam Bradford was that good. He's been very injury prone, and even when he wasn't, I think he had one good year. And all the other years, not that he's a bust, I'm certainly not saying that, but the Rams could use a quarterback, and maybe they will go with one. I don't know. But the Rams have a decent team, but in the division they play in with Arizona, San Francisco, and especially Seattle, they've got a lot of work to do if they want to ever have a chance of competing with those teams. So we'll have to see. I'll go more in depth maybe with the top 5 or 10 picks next week, seeing what they need, or what I think they need and what I think they should do, in my humble opinion. But I think that they're going to be committed to Bradford, and I think that's going to be their downfall. I don't think he's ever going to be better than an average at best quarterback. He's not going to take them to the Super Bowl. So if they're thinking along those lines, they might want to look at a quarterback. The Jaguars need everything. They have nothing exciting at all. They just lost Jones-Drew, so they really have no identity, no anything. And I said a couple of years ago, or last year, when the Jets let Tebow go, Tebow's from Jacksonville. Now granted, I didn't say that Tebow was going to come and take them to the playoffs. I never said that. But he couldn't be any worse than what they had. They go 2-14, 3-13 every year. Was Tebow going to be any worse than that? No, probably a little bit better. And there'd be something exciting for the Jaguar fans. They have trouble selling tickets, selling out their games. Tebow would have taken care of all that. Would have sold out every game on the road and at home. Would have given the Jaguar fans some reason to wear Jaguar gear and watch the game and show up for the game, but they never did that. And then this past year, they went 3-13 or 4-12, 2-14, whatever it was. They were terrible. They're like an afterthought in the NFL, so they need to do something. Whether it's, Johnny Manziel, if he's there at 3, they need something. They need talent everywhere, but they need something to get the Jaguar fans excited, to get them to want to buy the gear, come to the games, watch TV. But the Jaguars are a mess, and they need to do something in a couple of weeks when the draft comes. The Browns, they're talking about Manziel. They need a quarterback, of course. I think they got a couple of good pieces in free agency, so I think they're headed in the right direction. But they need some excitement too, and certainly Johnny Manziel would bring that to them. So I'm thinking they may just do that and get Manziel as well, if he's available at that spot. So we'll have to see. The Raiders, they're kind of a mess too. They don't have much at the quarterback position. They don't, they're kind of a mess the last 10, 12 years. They've been a mess since they were in the Super Bowl 12 years ago. They haven't been good since. I don't know what happened to them, but they kind of need everything. They have not a lot of excitement at any position, so they need to start drafting better, because for the last decade or so they've been pretty much irrelevant. The Falcons, I live in Atlanta, so obviously that's big around here. I've been hearing that they might trade up to number 1 and take Clowney. I wouldn't do it, because I'm not trading away my future for someone that has proven nothing in the NFL. Clowney has never stepped on an NFL field, hasn't played a single snap in the NFL, and I'm not trading a bunch of firsts and seconds, which you're going to have to do to move up from 6 to 1. I'm not trading a whole bunch of future picks this year and future years for someone who hasn't proven a thing in the NFL yet. He may end up one of the great defensive ends of all time. I don't know. But there have been plenty of examples of guys in the past that couldn't miss, that missed. Plenty of busts. A lot, as the number 1 pick or first round picks or whatever. A lot of guys that the experts said couldn't miss, and they missed by a mile. So I'm not trading a whole bunch of first round picks and second round picks to move up to get Clowney. Now, it's very unlikely Clowney would be there at 6, but there's a lot of other great players out there. The Falcons the Falcons have needs in several different areas. They have no depth on their team. So I would not do it, but it's possible they will, and we'll have to see. At 7, Tampa Bay is there. I'm hearing they really want Johnny Manziel, because they're kind of the same. Tampa Bay's a decent team, but they play in a tough division, with the Saints and the Panthers and the Falcons. They don't have a lot of excitement down in Tampa. Johnny Manziel, obviously, he's going to bring tremendous interest wherever he goes. Tampa Bay has Mike Glennon, and he did all right in the short period of time that he got to show his stuff. But I think if Manziel is available at 7, I doubt he will be, but if he is, I think Tampa Bay might go that way. At 8, the Vikings definitely need a quarterback. I might as well be the quarterback for the Vikings, because they really don't have much going. So I don't know if they're going to do anything to try and get a Manziel, but there are other good quarterbacks out there. Bortles, he's pretty good. I don't think Teddy Bridgewater's that great, but, the experts seem to think he's pretty good. There are some good quarterbacks out there besides Manziel. Manziel gets all the, all the publicity and everything, but there are some good quarterbacks out there, so I think the Vikings might want to go that route. But we'll have to see. We got to wait about a week and a half till May 8th. Well, that's about all I've got for today. I think I'll go a little more in depth with the draft next week, because next week's show will just be a few days before the draft, so I didn't want to get too much into it right now. But that's about all I have for today. Have a great day. Enjoy all the NBA later on today and all the baseball and whatever else you're going to be doing. I hope the weather's good wherever you are. It's gorgeous here in Atlanta. I'm going to get out and enjoy some of it. Hope you all do the same. Have a great weekend. And, like I said, enjoy all the sports. And I'll see you next time, wherever you are. So long, America.